help us with business. They like to make a profit on selling planets to other, what I'm saying? If they would come on that, I would have the same sort of hesitation. So when somebody doesn't have what I perceive to be a political bent that has infused in their belief as to why they are here, and it seems to be that they're the most truthful, I feel, are the ones who are the most almost embarrassed. They are very humble. They're meek. Maybe have not a lot of notoriety. Maybe they have some notoriety, but they don't stand to gain from it. And I've heard everything from they're here to eat us because they're running out of food. Of course, the classic abduction and ripping babies, fetuses out of the mother's womb to create a new race.
Don't forget the anal probes too. Yes.
We don't talk a lot about that probe necessarily, but maybe. But no, we have discussed the anatomy, and believe it or not, some have suggested they have 2 of those things, and we'll just leave it at that. Others say they have none.
For the same orifice, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
wow.
Okay.
We covered a whole bunch, and it's kind of wow. Let's try to rein this rope in here, because what I'm trying to get to is okay. For me, I thought the answer was going to be kind of easy, but I guess it turned to be a little longer, more detailed than I thought. Have you personally thought for yourself, why do you think they're here, and have you received any adequate answers from people inside, and the insiders? Have you had any revelations? What's the deal? I want to know. I'm curious about, really, if they are here, why they're here. I want to know. Just tell me what you think.
Well,
I don't care about what everybody else thinks.
Now, Reginald, we've got past the if. Let's go with the why, because that's what we're dealing with here.
Yes.
Okay. Why? Okay. So now you're asking me to go ahead and give my opinion, because I personally haven't interrogated one, so really I would feel unqualified to say. Now, if you're talking about the totality of stories that I've heard, and as I said earlier, about that continuing little thread that as a listening host you begin to pick up, and you remember, well, this other guy said this and this other guest said that, and you start to see a pattern. I guess you might say a pattern. Then I would say then you're moving down the road to finding the truth of what the truth really is. And what it seems to be is that in fact they're not from out there; they're from right here. And as far as why they're here is...
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but I think we probably agree differently. But what do you mean by they're right here? From the future?
No, they've always been here. They've been here throughout history.
Right?
Yeah. But the thread that I've been getting is that they are here because at some point they are going to basically show themselves. Declare that they're the ones that men have worshipped through history, that they have the knowledge to solve our problems, and from that, the human race then will sort of bow down to their control, and then of course they'll openly do what they've been doing in a sort of a stealth mode through all the centuries.
Right. And what do they have to gain from this again? Well, I mean, if they've already been there already, and I don't understand. If they've already been here, I'm kind of confused about what are they surviving off of? Is it the same things we need, or do they need the same resources we need? It doesn't make kind of sense if they're in some other reality, so to speak, or some other dimension. They should be doing fine on their own. Why are they messing with us? Why do they need our adoration or worship or submission? They're doing their own thing anyway. They have the capability to do their own thing.
Well, that's good, and I say to some, why do they need to abduct our cows and take parts off of them? Why don't they just grow their own cows? You know what I'm saying? So, there are some anomalous questions, some questions that can't really be answered, or that would enter into the trail of truth. There are these kind of side roads off, on every corner. So, really, you got to crank it down as to why. I think it more leans itself as to the why as the fact that they seem to have been here before, that they were abducting or taking people and genetically altering people before. There were giants in the land. There were, I believe...
That's biblical. That's biblical there.
That's biblical, but it also goes over to the secular or to the myths of the Greeks. And get into the centaurs. You see half man, half animal. You get into the Egyptians, and you see the cat people and the bull gods. And so it goes through all different strata, way outside the Bible, and you see these sort of hybrids, even including little people for the Indians or gremlins and different things. You see these anomaly type of creations, of these hybrids, and they seem to have been through all cultures, through all lands, throughout history. And it seems that somebody, for whatever reason, we're going to call it them, that have been experimenting, either trying to create a different race or trying to save their existing race. So I think they've been doing this through time. I think that the government, I think the testimony lends itself to say that we've had agreements with them. They violated those agreements, and now they have a propensity now. They're showing more and more. Basically, the way I explained it is this, for instance, with the Stephenville sighting, which was a huge sighting. Hundreds of people saw it. The people that saw it, their credentials were impeccable. They had nothing to gain. It was right in the middle of the Bible Belt where you wouldn't expect them to see a UFO. They weren't, or even allow themselves to see a UFO. But I put it this way. It's like if you have... if you're abducting somebody, and you say you're a killer, and you've got somebody in front of you, have you ever seen a movie where somebody has a long overcoat and they're moving you through a crowd of people, and they don't have the gun on you, but what they do is you look back and they open up their jacket and they show you the gun, right? You've seen that, right. Or something similar to that, and then they close it, and you know that they got the gun, although it's underneath their coat. I believe that's what the Stephenville sighting was saying to the United States government. They just showed their craft and say, look, we're going to do it anytime we want to, and you're going to do what we say. So I think there's a continuing agreements and disagreements and breaking of contracts or whatever it is between the Earth's government and these beings, whoever they are, and they show that just to let us know they're still in control, and at some point they're going to have a full-fledged outing of this thing.
Yeah, now Daniel, of course, as a skeptic, I must say this. I mean, right away, it sounds like there are a lot of leaps of faith here in what you're putting forth. It seems like you're kind of gluing a lot of pieces together, but they're of your own design, and maybe people who share your thought process. Have you thought of other options for maybe what people are witnessing, and why don't those work for you?
Well, now, I didn't really. You're right. What I was trying to do was have a sort of a summation, and try to put it together. Yeah. And as I said, I have not seen him. I have not talked to him or investigated him. So I'm only looking for the thread of truth that seems to weave through some of the most credible testimonies that I hear.
Well, maybe. I mean, I guess it depends on what resources you pull from. I mean, there were, of course, thousands of people who, if not hundreds of tens of thousands of people who claimed to see the Virgin Mary in stained glass windows on pizza, apple pie, ice cream stains on the floor or whatever. Do we believe that they really saw this thing, or could it have been simply a misinterpretation, misunderstanding?
Mm-hmm. Well,
so this is why I ask. Have you ever been to an experimental spacecraft or missile test sponsored by the military?
No. Absolutely not. No, I have not. No.
All right. Well, I have.
Okay.
And a few people in my chat room have who are former military as well.
Okay.
All right, now, some of your listeners might claim, oh, look, he's a plant by the government. No, I'm just going to tell my stories. I've seen plenty of UFOs. Okay, but I want to tell people that we see these things, and they may do a lot of weird things. Even because one thing I hear all the time is about a lot of pilots, for instance, will say, it does things I've never seen any spacecraft does. Moving at those Gs, it will kill someone. Well, the assumption is that it was, first of all, even being piloted. It might not have been piloted, for one. And the military is always experimenting with experimental aircraft and missiles. And that's why earlier we said the NSA is tapping your line. Even if they are, they're probably worried that you